Your thoughts aren't your own. Not really, not entirely, and certainly not in the way you believe they are. You wake up, scroll through your phone, hear the news, absorb the headlines, and go about your day, assuming that every choice you make is yours alone. But what if I told you that assumption is the first lie? Because here's the unsettling truth: your mind is not as private as you think. For decades, no centuries, governments, corporations, and media empires have been perfecting the science of control, not through brute force, not with shackles or soldiers in the streets. No, that would be too obvious. Instead, they've mastered something far more insidious. They shape you through your subconscious, the invisible hand guiding 95% of your thoughts, your decisions, your behaviors, without your explicit consent. Think about it. Why do you buy the brands you do? Why do you trust certain narratives and dismiss others? Why do you desire things you never consciously chose to want? Because the moment you stepped into this world, the programming began. They know exactly how your brain processes symbols, colors, sounds. They know that repetition breeds belief, that familiarity fosters trust, that emotions, especially fear, can override logic. And so they infiltrate your mind in ways you never notice. The placement of a news ticker, the specific phrasing of a law, the color of a corporate logo, the engineered silence around certain topics. It's not random. It's never random. They don't need to ban ideas if they can make you forget they ever existed. They don't need to force compliance if they can make you desire it. They don't need to tell you what to think if they can control the lens through which you see the world. And the most disturbing part? It works. Studies show that your subconscious mind makes decisions up to 10 seconds before you're even aware of them. By the time you think you've made a choice, the decision was already made for you. This is the game they play, the manipulation you were never meant to see. But here's the question that changes everything. What happens when you start seeing it? Because the moment you recognize the control, it begins to lose its grip. The moment you understand how they plant ideas in your mind, you gain the power to rip them out. And that is what they fear the most. By the end of this video, you will never see your thoughts the same way again. Because once you uncover how deep the influence runs, you'll realize it was never really your mind they wanted, it was your obedience. And now, it's time to take it back. The silent war on your mind. How words trap you. You were never supposed to notice. That was the plan from the beginning. Because words aren't just sounds. They're not just symbols on a page. They are the operating system of your mind. And if someone else controls the code, they control you. Think about it. Language isn't just how we communicate. It's how we think. It frames what we believe is possible, what we accept as truth, and even what we consider real. Change the words, and you change the way people see the world. And if you can control how people see the world, you can control them. This isn't speculation. This isn't some abstract theory. This is proven psychological fact. Studies show that words don't just describe reality, they create it. Your brain doesn't process language passively. It uses it to build the world around you. Say something enough times, and your subconscious accepts it as truth, whether it makes sense or not. And that's why they don't just use words, they weaponize them. A war is never an invasion. It's a peacekeeping mission. Mass surveillance isn't spying, it's protecting national security. Censorship isn't suppression, it's preventing misinformation. An economic collapse isn't a disaster, it's a period of accelerated negative growth. You don't notice the manipulation because it happens before you can resist it. Before you even question it, your brain has already swallowed the lie. Because, here's the truth. Language is a cage, a carefully designed, meticulously engineered mental prison that shapes your thoughts before they even reach your conscious mind. They don't have to ban dangerous ideas if they can make you incapable of thinking them in the first place. And the deeper you look, the worse it gets. Because once you see how words are used against you, you'll realize they've been at war with your mind all along, and the only way to win is to break free from their language. The most effective form of control is the one you never even notice. You were raised in a system where words don't mean what you think they mean. Everything, your news, your education, your casual conversations, has been carefully designed to keep you operating within an illusion of choice while remaining blind to the forces shaping your reality. And the weapon they use against you? Doublespeak. This isn't just lying, it's something far more advanced. It's the deliberate distortion of language, engineered to make the unthinkable sound reasonable and the horrific feel normal. It's why you don't panic when your government enhances surveillance measures instead of spying on you. It's why corporations don't fire thousands of workers. They simply optimize their workforce. They manipulate you through 4 distinct layers of doublespeak, each layer designed to strip away your ability to question, resist, or even recognize what's being done to you. And once you see them, you'll start spotting them everywhere. Layer 1. Euphemisms. Softening the horror. Euphemisms exist to make the unacceptable palatable. Instead of confronting raw reality, you accept a sanitized version of it, one designed to numb your emotions before you even process the truth. They remove the sting, making you less likely to resist, less likely to feel outrage, and more likely to comply. The military doesn't kill innocent civilians. They create collateral damage. You're not being watched, you're under preventative safety monitoring. By the time your brain translates what actually happened, your emotions have already been muted by the language. Layer 2. Jargon. Confusion as a tactic. If they can't convince you, they'll overwhelm you. Jargon isn't just complex language. It's a deliberate tool designed to make simple concepts sound too complicated to question. The goal? To keep you lost in the maze while they move the pieces. Banks don't steal your money. They restructure liquidity assets in response to market volatility. The government doesn't spy on you. They engage in covert data aggregation for security purposes. Your health insurance won't cover your medical bills. You simply have a pre-existing condition exemption clause in the actuarial determination process. By the time you decode what's actually happening, the decision has already been made against you. Jargon isn't just about making things sound smart. It's about making them inaccessible. If you don't understand the terms, you can't challenge them. If you feel out of your depth, you trust the experts to explain it for you. If you can't explain what's happening, you assume it must be too complex to fight back against, and that's exactly what they want. Ever wonder why legal documents, financial statements, and government policies are written in a language that even highly educated people struggle to understand? Because if they wrote it in plain English, you'd never agree to it. If banks told you directly that your savings were being gambled in risky investments, you'd pull your money out immediately. If they admitted outright that they were recording your calls and monitoring your movements, you'd never accept it as normal. If health insurance stated plainly that they were denying coverage for profit, there would be public outrage. Jargon is a shield against accountability. The more complex the wording, the more effort it takes to fight back. And they know most people won't bother. Layer 3. Inflated language. This is the language of marketing, politics, and corporate deception. It's the art of making the ordinary sound extraordinary so that you never stop to question its actual value. A used car is now a certified pre-owned vehicle. A failed product is a prototype advancement initiative. Raising prices isn't corporate greed. It's a value adjustment to reflect market conditions. But this isn't just about disguising failure or spinning reality. Inflated language isn't harmless, it's profitable. When words are exaggerated, so are prices. The moment a used car became a certified pre-owned vehicle, its price increased. The moment a basic cup of coffee became a handcrafted artisanal blend, you started paying double. The moment an apartment became a luxury residence, rent prices skyrocketed without anything actually changing. By dressing up the same product in fancier language, companies justify higher costs, convincing you that you're paying for something better even when nothing has actually changed. When everything sounds inflated, nothing is questioned. And when nothing is questioned, you pay more without even realizing it. Layer 4. Contradictory language. This is the most dangerous level, the point where words mean the opposite of reality. Wars are launched to preserve peace. Freedoms are restricted to protect democracy. Privacy is eliminated for security reasons. This is where your logical mind begins to short-circuit. You hear the words, but deep down, something feels off. That's because your subconscious and reality are in conflict. And the more you hear these contradictions, the more you start to accept them as normal. Once that happens, you stop questioning everything. But here's the real question. Now that you see it, what are you going to do about it? How they use doublespeak to rewrite reality in real time. The goal of doublespeak isn't just to deceive you, it's far bigger than that. The real goal is to replace your reality with a manufactured one, a reality where you willingly accept the illusion because it feels safer, more familiar, and easier to digest. And the reason it works so well? It's happening everywhere, all the time, in real time. And the media? They are the ultimate reality shapers. See, the news isn't there to inform you, it's there to shape the way you think. Every headline you read, every story they choose to cover or ignore, every word they use, it's all carefully crafted to create a version of reality that serves the system, not the people. When a protest, language as a tool of control, words that reprogram reality, aligns with their agenda, it's a movement. When it doesn't, it's a riot. When their side wins an election, it's a victory for democracy. When the other side wins, it's a threat to national stability. When everyday people lose their jobs, it's an economic adjustment. But when corporations lose money, it's a financial crisis. See how they don't tell you what to think? They tell you what to think about. And the moment they control that, they control your perception of the world. This is called the attention trap. And it's how they control you without you noticing. You're scrolling through your phone after a long day. A headline flashes, breaking, economic uncertainty, rising. A split second later, an ad appears, secure your future with our investment plan. That wasn't a coincidence, it was a setup. First they trigger fear, then they present the solution, their solution. And before you even realize what happened, your brain has already accepted their narrative. You weren't just informed, you were guided. This isn't random. It's precision-engineered manipulation, and it happens thousands of times a day. Every news alert, every trending topic, every ad, every notification, they're all part of a system designed to control your attention. And your attention isn't just a commodity, it's the leash that keeps you in their system. The cycle of control, fear, influence, action. Fear is their favorite tool, and headlines are their weapon of choice. Fear doesn't just make you feel anxious, it shuts down your critical thinking. It activates your survival instincts, putting your subconscious in control. And once your mind is searching for security, they step in with the answer. First, the fear. New crisis may impact millions. Then the offer. Here's what you need to buy to protect yourself. Finally, the action. You don't just read the message, you feel it. And then you act on it. By the time you've made a decision, you think it was yours. But was it? Algorithms and the shaping of your mind algorithms don't just predict you, they actually shape you. Ever feel like your social media feed knows what you're thinking? It's not magic or coincidence, it's manipulation. Algorithms don't just track your behavior, they shape it. They don't just predict your desires, they create them. You see an ad for a product right after you casually mention it in conversation. Coincidence or conditioning? You click on one video and suddenly your feed is filled with more of the same, locking you in an information loop. You search for a harmless topic, but what you see is curated, filtered, and framed to guide you toward a preset conclusion. It's not just about selling you products, it's about selling you a mindset. They don't just control what you buy, they control what you believe. The digital cage, training you to stay plugged in. Even something as small as a notification isn't harmless. It's a psychological trigger designed to tap into your brain's reward system. Each time you check it, you reinforce a habit. Social media doesn't just entertain you, it conditions you to crave constant validation. Streaming platforms don't just offer content, they trap you with autoplay, making it easier to watch another episode than to stop. A study revealed the average person spends nearly 5 hours a day consuming media, most of it mindlessly. That's over 76 days a year spent glued to a screen. You're not just watching content, you're being trained to never look away. Beyond products selling you an identity. But it's not just about stealing your time. They want something deeper, your sense of self. You're not just buying a product, you're buying a version of yourself. A more successful you, if you buy this book. A more attractive you, if you get this skincare routine. A more trendy you, if you upgrade your wardrobe. But here's the trick. That version of you is always just out of reach. Just enough to keep you chasing. Just enough to keep you spending. Just enough to keep you conforming. And that's exactly how they want it. Entertainment or distraction? The circus strategy. History repeats itself. What does the emperor do when the people grow restless? He distracts them. In ancient Rome, emperors staged gladiator battles, races, and grand festivals to keep the masses entertained and distracted. Today, it's the same game, just modernized. Endless sports seasons and celebrity feuds keep you focused on everything except what actually matters. Breaking news sensationalizes meaningless drama, while real issues unfold unnoticed. Streaming services ensure there's always one more show to binge, so you never ask bigger questions. Recently, I heard about an athlete signing a $200 million contract. It's about living on your own terms. And the best part? It doesn't cost anything to start reclaiming your freedom, just the courage to question everything. Now, let's talk about the real lead that keeps you bound to the system. Debt. Not just a financial tool, but a weapon, a system engineered to keep you chasing, working, obeying. Think about it. From the moment you step into adulthood, they offer you debt, disguised as opportunity. You're 18, barely old enough to vote, and they hand you tens of thousands in student loans, but never teach you how compound interest works. You're told a mortgage is the American dream, but did you know mortgage literally translates to death pledge? They offer you credit cards for convenience, but never mention the trap of interest rates that double your debt before you even realize it. And once you're in, it shapes your life. You take a job you don't love because you need the paycheck. You stay in a city you don't want to live in because you're tied to a mortgage. You hesitate to take risks because debt makes you afraid to fail. Debt isn't just about money, it's about control. But why does the system need you in debt? Here's the brutal truth. The system doesn't just want you in debt, it needs you in debt. Because debt makes you obedient. An indebted worker is less likely to quit. An indebted citizen is less likely to rebel. An indebted mind is too distracted with survival to focus on freedom. And beyond the financial burden, debt is spiritual weight. When you owe someone, they occupy space in your mind. They take your energy, your peace, your focus. And the system loves that, because when you're exhausted from survival, you never step into your power. But what if you rewrote the script? What if you chose to live simply, not out of lack, but out of abundance? Abundance of clarity, abundance of freedom, abundance of space to grow into the person you were meant to be. Because here's the truth. Debt feeds the system. Simplicity and freedom starve it. And the moment you see this truth, you've taken the first step to breaking free. This isn't a new tactic. It's ancient, perfected over centuries. And the only way out? Awareness. The moment you see the system for what it is, you start breaking free. Because once you understand the game, you stop playing it on their terms. For example, politicians don't answer questions. They redirect them. They don't tell the truth. They reshape it. They don't change laws. They redefine their meaning. And they do it so smoothly, you don't even realize what just happened. They don't raise taxes. They implement revenue enhancements. They don't pass mass surveillance laws. They ensure national security. They don't engage in war. They launch strategic peacekeeping initiatives. The best way to hide a lie? Wrap it in words that sound reasonable. And before you know it, you're nodding along, agreeing to things you never would have accepted if they'd been said plainly. Corporations have mastered doublespeak to the point where you don't even question it anymore. Prices don't go up. You experience a value adjustment. Your job isn't eliminated. It's a strategic workforce transition. The product isn't defective. It has performance variances. Every word is engineered to make you feel like you're in control, when in reality, you're being manipulated into accepting less and paying more. The moment you start questioning the words, the entire illusion starts to crack. And the ultimate goal of doublespeak isn't just deception, it's control. It's about constructing a world where people accept contradictions as truth, where logic is overridden by carefully engineered phrases. Because once words stop meaning what they're supposed to mean, reality itself becomes fluid. And in that fluidity, those in power gain absolute control. This is the final stage. A world where you surrender freedom in the name of safety, where you accept lies because they're wrapped in familiar language, where you stop resisting because everything sounds so reasonable. And the scariest part, the more you hear it, the more normal it becomes. But now that you see how deep the manipulation goes, the question is, how do you break free? Because make no mistake, they are betting on your compliance. They assume you'll keep scrolling, keep accepting, keep adapting to their twisted version of reality without ever questioning it. But the moment you become aware of how language is being used against you, the game changes. There's a way out, and it starts with reprogramming your mind to resist their control. Step 1. The linguistic self-defense strategy. If words are the weapon, then clarity is your armor. The first thing you need to do is strip away the illusion in real time. Every time you hear doublespeak, ask yourself, what are they really saying? What would this sound like in plain, honest language? If I remove the sugarcoating, what's the raw truth underneath? Let's put this into action. We are implementing revenue enhancements. Translation, we are taking more of your money. Military forces conducted precision airstrikes. Translation, people were bombed. This product helps fight cavities. Translation, it might do nothing, but we're legally covered. The moment you start translating doublespeak back into real language, the manipulation stops working on you. Step 2, pattern recognition, your red flag detector. Doublespeak follows patterns. And once you know the patterns, you'll start spotting manipulative language everywhere. Here are some red flag words and phrases to look out for. Ensuring national security, hiding an invasion or surveillance expansion, job restructuring, you're getting fired, economic downturn, people are losing everything. Public-private partnership equals corporations are seizing control of public resources. Fact-checking equals censoring information they don't want you to see. The faster you recognize these red flags, the harder it becomes for them to control you. Step 3. Reprogram your own language. Stop using their words. The biggest mistake people make is repeating the language of their oppressors. Think about it. If you describe things the way they want you to, you're already playing their game. That's why you need to consciously reject their words and use your own. The economy is in a recession. Translation, the government and banks collapsed the economy. They passed new security measures. Translation, they took away more of our freedom. There's a new initiative to combat misinformation. Translation, they're censoring dissenting opinions. Words are the foundation of thought. If they control your words, they control your thoughts. But if you reclaim your words, you reclaim your mind. Step 4. Demand truth in your world. The final step is refusing to let people lie to you. When you hear doublespeak, call it out. When you see deceptive language, translate it for others. When corporations, politicians, and media outlets try to manipulate reality, expose them. They only get away with this because people don't fight back. But imagine what happens when millions of people refuse to accept their twisted language. Imagine what happens when people demand real, clear, honest communication, because once enough people see through the illusion, the system collapses. And that is what they fear the most. The system isn't built on your agreement. It's built on your passive acceptance. It doesn't need you to believe in it. It just needs you to be too distracted, too exhausted, or too indifferent to resist. That's why they flood your mind with meaningless words, twist language, until lies feel like truth and rewrite reality in real time. They hope you'll never stop and think about it. What's really happening? But now you see it. And here's the most important truth. Once you see the game, you can never unsee it. The greatest trick of all isn't just making you believe a lie, it's making you stop questioning it altogether. Ask yourself, when a company lays off thousands of workers and calls it a strategic workforce optimization, do you even blink? When the government expands surveillance and calls it a public safety initiative, do you even react? When war is rebranded as peacekeeping operations, do you even feel alarmed? Or have you become so used to the deception that it no longer registers as deception at all? That's the real goal, to condition you into accepting contradictions as truth, to make you hear obvious lies and simply shrug. Because once they reach that point, they don't even have to lie anymore. You've stopped resisting. And that's when they own you. But here's something they didn't account for. You're still here. You're still thinking. And now you know their game. William Lutz warned us about this decades ago. Orwell saw it coming long before that. But now it's no longer a warning. It's happening in real time. So the question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Will you let it slip into the background noise? Will you go back to scrolling, consuming, and accepting their version of reality? Or will you take back control of your mind? Because the war for reality isn't fought with weapons. It's fought with words, and the moment you start seeing through the lies, you've already won. Ever notice the news always starts with fear? Ever notice how the news always starts with something terrifying before shifting to a solution you're expected to accept? That's not an accident. It's a psychological technique called emotional priming, and it's how they keep you compliant. Here's how it works. Step 1. Trigger fear. The news opens with a threatening or alarming story to put you in a state of anxiety. Step 2. Introduce the solution. After making you feel helpless, they immediately offer a pre-packaged solution. Step 3. Condition. You to accept it. Because your brain is emotionally engaged, you're more likely to comply without questioning. Example. There's an increasing threat of cybercrime, but the government is introducing new safety measures to protect you. The media's role in reality, shaping, controlling the narrative translation. You should fear this problem, and we have the solution you must accept. Don't think about whether these safety measures invade your privacy. Just feel relieved, believe that we're taking care of it. And the more they repeat this cycle, the more you become conditioned to associate fear with obedience. Now, apply this to everything you hear. Crime rates are rising. We need stricter surveillance. New health threats are emerging. You must comply with new regulations. Disinformation is spreading. Censorship is necessary to protect you. Every time, it's the same formula. Fear first, then control. Practical hack. Train yourself to decode subliminal language. If you want to break free, you need to train your mind to see the patterns. Step 1. Notice emotional triggers. If a message immediately makes you feel fear, anger, or urgency, pause and ask, why are they making me feel this way? Are they trying to inform me or control my reaction? Step 2. Identify the pre-packaged solution. What are they pushing as the next step after the fear? Is it a policy, a product, a behavior change they want you to accept? Step 3. Reframe the narrative. Take the message and rewrite it without the emotional manipulation. Instead of, the government is increasing surveillance to keep you safe, Say, the government is expanding its power to monitor private citizens. See how different it sounds? Once you start questioning the language, you'll see through the manipulation in real time. And the moment you see the game, you can never be controlled by it again. Words shape the way you see the world. But what if the very words you use every day have hidden meanings, designed not to empower you, but to keep you mentally enslaved? Language is more than communication. It's a tool of programming. The words you accept, repeat, and internalize define how you think, what you believe, what you accept as reality. And if you've never questioned them, then you've been speaking their language without even realizing it. And remember, words are not innocent. They are crafted to shape perception. Every word carries layers of meaning, some obvious, some deeply encoded. And when you start looking closer, you realize something disturbing. Mortgage, mort, death, plus gage, pledge, a death pledge. You spend your entire life working to pay off a debt that keeps you bound to the system. Government, govern, control. Plament, mind. Mind control of the mind. A system that rules not through force alone, but by shaping your beliefs. Television, television, a device used to tell you a vision of reality, not your vision, theirs. Carefully crafted to shape what you think is real. Spelling equals to cast a spell. The words you write and speak literally shape reality. Yet most people use language without realizing its true power. These aren't coincidences. This is deliberate programming. The language trap. How words keep you mentally bound. The moment you accept a word, you accept the reality it creates. When you call it a mortgage, you subconsciously accept the idea that debt is a lifelong obligation. When you say government, you unconsciously agree that external authority has the right to govern your thoughts. When you watch television, you are absorbing the visions carefully curated for you rather than forming your own. And when you don't question these words, you unknowingly reinforce the very system that controls you. Practical hack. The fastest way to break free is to deprogram your vocabulary. Step 1. Identify loaded words. What words do you use that carry hidden meanings or assumptions? Step 2. Break them down. What does this word actually mean? Where did it come from? Step 3. Reframe your language. If a word is designed to control you, find a new way to say it. Real-life examples. Change the script. Instead of, I have to pay my mortgage, say, I am working to end my debt contract. Instead of, the government is making new laws, say, the ruling class is expanding its control. Instead of, I watch television, say, I consume programmed media. Words are not just descriptions of reality, they create it. And when you start controlling your language, you start taking back your mind. The real question is, how many words in your vocabulary are keeping you trapped? The ancient power of words and how you can use it to your advantage. Words are not just symbols or sounds. They are energy. Ancient civilizations understood something that modern society has tried to bury. Language is not just a tool for communication. It is a force that shapes reality itself. That's why, in nearly every ancient culture, the most sacred words and languages were kept secret, passed down only to those trained to use them correctly. Because when words are spoken with intention, frequency, and precision, they don't just describe the world, they change it. The lost knowledge of sacred languages. Unlike modern languages, which have been diluted and stripped of deeper meaning, ancient languages were built on vibrational principles that aligned with energy, consciousness, and creation itself. Hebrew. Each letter carries a numerical and energetic frequency used in mystical traditions like Kabbalah to unlock higher states of consciousness. Sanskrit. Mantras in Sanskrit aren't just words, they are sound formulas designed to alter the energy of the speaker and the space around them. Egyptian hieroglyphs. These symbols weren't just writing, they were energetic codes that activated certain states of mind when seen or spoken. These civilizations didn't just use words, they understood that words were the blueprint of reality, and that knowledge has been deliberately erased from modern consciousness. Words can alter physical reality. If this sounds impossible, consider the scientific proof that words have a direct effect on matter. The rice experiment. When people spoke positive words, love, gratitude, to cooked rice, it stayed fresh. When they spoke negative words, hate, disgust, it rotted rapidly. Dr. Masaru Emoto's water experiments. When water was exposed to positive words, its molecular structure formed beautiful, harmonious patterns. When exposed to negative words, it became disordered and chaotic. If simple words can change the structure of rice and water, imagine what they're doing to your mind, your energy, and your body every single day. Mantras and affirmations, the hidden science behind spoken words. Most people dismiss affirmations and mantras as self-help gimmicks. Reprogramming the subconscious words are not just descriptions of reality, they are deliberate tools for subconscious reprogramming. Every time you speak, your words send vibrations into your subconscious mind, reinforcing patterns of belief that dictate your reality. If you constantly say, "I am struggling," you reinforce the experience of struggle. If you replace it with, "I am growing stronger every day," you start shifting your energy toward power. Ancient mantras were designed to hold specific vibrational frequencies that activate energy centers in the body. That's why spiritual traditions across the world use sacred sounds like Om or Amen, because these words carry frequencies that alter consciousness. Practical hack. Use ancient word-based techniques to rewire your reality. The key to taking back control of your mind and energy is to consciously choose the words you speak and think. Use daily affirmations with intent. Speak words that align with the reality you want to create. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "I am learning and evolving every day." Instead of saying, "I am unlucky," say, "I attract opportunities effortlessly." Practice mantras for energy alignment. Even 5 minutes of repeating high-frequency sounds like Om or Ram can shift your energy. Speak words that hold power. Instead of using weak passive language, use strong, commanding words that set your reality into motion. Words are not just labels, they are the programming code of your mind and reality. If you don't control them, someone else will. The real question is, are you speaking your reality into existence, or are you letting the system program it for you? The law of reversal. How elites hide the truth in plain sight. The greatest trick ever played on humanity isn't deception, it's reversal. They don't just lie to you, they tell you exactly what they're doing, but invert the meaning so you never question it. This is the law of reversal, a psychological tactic where words and phrases are designed to sound like they mean one thing, when in reality they mean the exact opposite. Once you recognize this trick, you will start seeing it everywhere, in politics, the economy, social structures, and in the very institutions that claim to protect you. How the law of reversal works. Everything is flipped. The elites don't just hide their agenda, they disguise it by giving it a name that means the opposite of what it actually does. Here are just a few examples. The Patriot Act sounds like something meant to protect national pride and security, right? In reality, it was a law that stripped away privacy rights and expanded government surveillance. The Federal Reserve sounds like a government-run institution that safeguards national finances, but in truth it's not federal and has no reserves. It's a private banking cartel that controls the money supply for profit. Social media sounds like a tool to connect people and foster communication, but in reality it's a mass surveillance system designed to track, manipulate, and modify your behavior through algorithms. These aren't just random contradictions. They are deliberate manipulations designed to keep you mentally compliant. Why the law of reversal works so well. The human brain is wired to accept labels at face value. When something is named a certain way, most people don't question its true function. When you hear the Patriot Act, your mind automatically associates it with something positive. When you hear Federal Reserve, you assume it's a legitimate government institution. When you hear net neutrality, you assume it's about fairness, not control. This is why reversing reality through language is such a powerful control mechanism. It stops you from questioning what's actually happening right in front of you. Flipping the script: how to expose reversed language in real time. The fastest way to break free from this illusion is to train yourself to reverse their statements. Here's how. Whenever you hear an official statement, flip it to its opposite meaning. If they say, "We are protecting your privacy," assume they are expanding surveillance. If they say, "This is for your safety," assume it is about controlling your movements or decisions. If they say, "We're here to help the people," assume it means more government control over the people. Look at who benefits. Does the policy actually protect you, or does it give them more power? Does the law help the public, or does it increase government or corporate control? Watch for contradictions in action. If something is supposed to make life better but somehow restricts freedoms, you know the law of reversal is at play. Practical hack. Reverse their language to find the truth. Here are some real-world translations using the law of reversal, Affordable Care Act. Higher health care costs and corporate profit expansion. Net neutrality equals government control over the internet disguised as freedom. Smart cities equals mass surveillance grids, tracking every movement. Fact-checking equals censorship and narrative control. War on terror. Perpetual war to justify military expansion and loss of civil liberties. Once you see the pattern, you can never unsee it. The elites don't hide the truth. They simply label it as the opposite of what it is. And as long as people accept words without questioning actions, the deception continues. But once you flip the script, you break free from their control. The real question is, what words have you been accepting at face value without ever questioning their true meaning? The war on consciousness, why they want to control language in the first place. The ultimate goal of controlling language isn't just to shape how you think, it's to control what you believe is possible. If they can limit your words, they can limit your thoughts. The fewer words you have to describe a concept, the harder it is for you to even think about it, let alone act on it. This is why regimes, corporations, and social institutions have always sought to reshape language, erase words, and redefine meaning. Because when you control words, you don't need to police people's actions, you police their minds instead. How they use language to shrink your perception of reality. Throughout history, those in power have always known. If you take away a person's words, you take away their ability to resist. In George Orwell's 1984, he introduced the concept of newspeak, a system where words that could spark rebellion were systematically erased. If people had no word for freedom, how could they ever demand it? If people had no word for revolution, how could they even conceive of rising up? This is not fiction, it's happening right now. The question is, who is controlling your words? Rewriting your own reality, taking back control. Because if you don't have the words for higher levels of understanding, you never even think to seek them out. This is why languages like Sanskrit, Hebrew, and ancient Egyptian contained highly advanced words that didn't just describe reality, they activated higher states of consciousness. But those words have been stripped away, diluted, or redefined. Today, language is designed to keep you mentally caged within a narrow framework of thought. I